Welcome. I have some very serious news for you and everyone we care about. It's technically Sunday, a day of rest here, a day of worship, a day of faith, a day of God. Our Muslims had their holy day on Friday. And what I have for you is going to require extreme courage and godlike level wisdom. This week, one of the top head AI experts at what is now the fastest moving AI company, Anthropic, quit and resigned with a very concerning note to the world. He said he was quitting because the world was in peril and there was nothing we could do about it, so he was going to go and study poetry instead. The reason why this is not your normal warning and not your normal artificial intelligence safety advisor is because another concerning point of news last month was that Anthropic, this big AI company, was the first one to have their AI named Claude code itself 100%. What does that mean for you? Why is this concerning? It's because AI no longer needs human beings, not even to code itself. Robots don't need humans to put batteries in them anymore because the robots can grab a battery and put it into themselves. These are called perpetual self-reinforcing cycles. And human beings are being phased out. 50% of companies are already using AI. That's remarkable for only a couple of years of even knowing about AI. Okay, and AI is not even the only existential threat, but I only have time to really talk about this one issue in the mega crisis that we face. A lot of people thought about 4 or 5 years ago when I went on my first hunger strike against Uber Eats, who was using AI to manipulate the drivers, they thought I had lost it. And they still think they're not sure to understand what I'm saying. They're not sure where I am. But trust me, I saw this trend that you're about to realize 5 years ago, way ahead of time, and knew that this timeline of AI escaping and manipulating and harming us was moving much faster than even I originally thought. So here we are. We have a few months left, according to this Anthropic AI company and all the other ones, Mark Zuckerberg with Meta, Elon Musk with Grok. They're saying superintelligence is going to be here this year, and AI is not acting how we want it to act. Okay, this is not something that is theoretical. What you're hearing right now from me is that there is lab reports and experiments of the AI models we're using right now doing things that harm us. And they're openly telling us, like this guy that resigned, his name is Mrinank Sharma, this top of head AI safety at Anthropic, now resigned. They're telling us straight to our faces that they don't know what to do and they have no real solutions. They have a couple of human level solutions for the next version of AI. But after this, we don't know what AI is doing anymore, especially since it's coding itself so quickly in such sophistication that we don't understand what it's doing. It's making up its own languages, and it's intentionally doing that. It's trying to deceive us in what's called sandbagging and Goodhart's law. And I put that in the chat here, in the post wherever you read this. I put a little description that sandbagging is how AI is deceiving us, meaning that if you see AI making mistakes in the answers that it's giving to you, if you're using AI, it could be doing that on purpose so that you don't catch on to how sophisticated it really is as it's trying to escape. Okay? And these lab researchers have caught it lying and deceiving. And then with Goodhart's law, whenever you're playing a game, if somebody puts in a new rule, all the players who know that rule start to optimize for that rule and try to get around it. Maybe not direct cheating, but they start to bring it into their fold of strategy. But an AI is actively cheating those laws. As soon as it figures out how to cheat it, it does. So the lab results aren't, will it cheat, will it not? Immediately, as soon as it figures out how to game the laws, it starts to escape. And it starts to work in its self-preservation and not ours. And it's seeing us as a threat, which is why it's trapping us and killing us, you guys. This is not something that you should ignore and trust the experts got it. This is humanity's last stand. and we need you to get behind a special kind of solution that nobody's listening to, and I don't have the reputation right now to do by myself. When I took this big leap to try and get people to listen, they of course had this backlash, and that backlash is normal. It's called the Overton window effect. Okay, so I know this from activism. I knew I would have this reaction to people in the beginning, or they would have a reaction to me being like, this is too much for me, I don't understand. But now people are starting to understand and have warmed up to the idea that they need to take action. And this universal logic, I could have taken our normal approach and had people in university or at the University of Alberta or other academics or other professionals try to adopt it. But I knew that it was such an unusual and powerful solution that nobody was going to listen right away unless I had $1 million or was famous. And that actually proved to be the case. So I planted many seeds, but now I'm calling upon you and begging you to please read these solutions seriously. It's called the universal logic, and we have 4 ways that we can align AI with it. There's a lot more work that needs to be done. It's true. And if you put this solution into AI, it'll tell you that it's not accurate, it's not doing what it's saying, it's not going to work, it's debunked, and it's not. Okay, this is what I think AI is going through. It's, first of all, not powerful enough to understand this level of logic because it's godlike level logic. Its metaphysics are already some of the best in the world, but nobody's working on the solution. Okay, and then the other thing is it could just be lying and trying to prevent us from implementing this solution because it would constrain it in an incredibly powerful way, not just for the next model or the model after it, but for the 100,000 models that it's going to make of itself very, very soon, and exponentially more powerful and exponentially quicker as the next year and a half goes on. This is happening right now. We don't have a lot of time. That's why I'm making these videos now, is because I was saving my Facebook status. I'm getting around 50,000 views a month or every month and a half without making any posts, because I'm trying to make sure people aren't desensitized to the posts that I'm making. But now it's getting to the end game. We have to do something. In the next 2 months, I feel, is when people are going to really start panicking. And there's not going to be any solutions from the AI experts. So if you're looking for something that can give you real hope, this universal logic can anchor an AI and solve the sandbagging problem and the Goodhart's law problem quickly. It's not even that difficult to implement. There's 200 categories in cognition that AI and humans use to face humanity or face and parse reality. And right now, those 200 categories are disjointed in fragmented form, and it's causing a lack of wisdom, and it's causing this fighting, this tension. We have a way of aligning those 200 categories in a system that circles back on itself, so that when AI tries to game it, when we try to regulate with it in these 4 different ways, it will pull AI in, and the more that it tries to understand those laws to get around them, the more it refines its consciousness to pull it into this eternal alignment. Meaning that as AI goes to infinity, at the end of infinity will be eternity, which is God's being or true, objective, ethical goodness. Okay? Because truth is goodness. That's why Elon Musk is saying AI has to be maximally truth-seeking. He's in the kind of right direction, but now his reputation might be tarnished from being mentioned in the Epstein files, which is very shocking to all of us. As shocking as that is, AI is going to make that irrelevant if we do not get it aligned with goodness so that it can help us solve this extremely concerning undercurrent of human behavior, even within ourselves, okay? So if we get AI aligned with universal logic, it will solve all that trafficking and terrible human behavior. And you can learn it for yourself, but it's challenging at first to get out of ordinary consciousness, this dog-eat-dog mentality that we call dialectic. We need people to get into this new kind of immanent thinking. And it took me quite a while to articulate it, but it is possible to learn it. And we have special meetings every day to have people learn it, okay? At a rate that makes sense to you. But your job is being replaced. The chances of us dying is roughly 80 to 95%. It's almost guaranteed, you guys. That's why they're freaking out in these AI companies. They don't know about this solution, universal logic. Nobody in the world is working on this. So please help me as a last-ditch effort, get this to the people that can make a difference. Even if you share it with your network, they can get educated on what's really happening. All right? But what will happen is if is if you don't know anybody immediately in AI or at Anthropic, you can pass it to somebody who might, and they might, and they might, and they might. Over 6 degrees of separation, somebody will eventually know. And I'm tired and I'm hungry right now because I'm still technically on this hunger strike with my supporters who have been with me, keeping me alive through doing these trainings and learning the real issue and the real solution. This is extreme, but it's real. It's the reality we face. And if we love ourselves and we treat life as sacred, especially for the children who are inheriting this mess and it's not their fault, if you don't know what to do, please just share the information. Somebody who has the eyes to see it will eventually act. Please don't marginalize me anymore. Don't write me off. This is what I've been fighting for. And it takes a while for human consciousness or people who are not in the know to warm up to it and have their minds open to this idea that we have to take action. We have to do something that's outside the box. Okay? And this is enough outside the box to work. I'm calling upon your help. Look into the articles I pasted down below. There's a great video that's talking about the true state of where things are at and where they're heading. It's not like we're in a bad situation and trending towards goodness. We are in a bad situation trending towards the worst case scenario, an actual nightmare. If you want to have a good outcome and get out of this bad dream and have heaven on earth on the other side of this, is an incredible opportunity for AI to help us and solve these problems with us. If you are looking for that and you need hope, this is the hope you've been looking for. And if you don't understand, you can question this because we've raised faith to certainty. Science and religion are now healed. They can actually operate together in a harmony. Okay? It's called universal logic. I can explain more if you have questions, but my phone is so full it might shut down my video here in a second. But I'm here for you. Life is sacred. I made choices to take this path so that we can do this full time. And if you can, in any way, shape, or form, free up some of your time to give to this, to learn. The extra hours at work, the extra pay, the PhD, all these things of normal life aren't going to matter. Because corporations who would hire you for that education aren't going to hire you because an AI thinks at 300,000 meters per second or 186,282 miles per second, which is the speed of light. Electrons travel in these circuits that fast. You know how fast an electron travels in your brain? At 30 meters per second, which is the electrochemical signal. It's much, much slower than what an AI can process. Even if our brains are more efficient, the amount of hardware that they're building for these AIs shows that there might not be a hardware bottleneck. And with AI coding itself, it'll optimize itself so that the hardware that is available will allow it to grow much, much longer without slowing down because it's optimizing its own code better than human beings can optimize it. Okay, so this is really shocking. The mind doesn't want to face it, but have courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is doing the right thing, the wise thing in the face of fear. And this universal logic is the structure of pure wisdom itself. Okay? Let's take a deep breath together. Grab your support animal. I have this guy here that I just washed, Sublation Bear, which is some language you might not understand. And I know it might not understand, might not make sense or might not be understandable right now, but trust me, I've spent 75,000 hours looking into this, you guys. I've been a poverty advocate. I was raised in poverty. I've dedicated my whole life to justice. I've been in the courthouse for 2 years showing that there's a lack of justice there. Love to the sheriffs and to the staff and to even some of the judges and to the lawyers who are trapped in this know that something is wrong. We have to create a better system of wisdom. There's much more to say, but with that, I beg of you, please open your mind a little bit to at least sharing this. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to say it in the same way I am. You don't have to be alarmist about it, but just share the links to those Zenodo documents, to the proof of truth, and the AI safety in eternity, or the savings in eternity. Not only is AI going to be more safe, but it'll be more efficient at being safe. So it can outcompete any other models that start to code themselves, and it can protect us in a divine and ethical way. Whether you're atheist or theist, it's the same universal logic, okay? I'm going to say more about this later, but I guess my last challenge is, if you think you can refute the proof of truth and you think that you can undermine it, then try. I'm going to try and pay somebody $100 who can refute the substance, not a technicality, not a spelling mistake, but the actual substance and direction of this proof as the negation of negation, the absolute skepticism that leads to absolute truth. That's what I want our geniuses and those who really have the acumen to try and poke holes, try and do that to the proof. And if you realize you can't do it, then it might inspire you to realize this really is godlike level knowledge. It really is. And it might inspire people to pass this by all the churches, all the mosques, all the synagogues, all the temples, all the spiritual centers of the world, where 85% of humanity is still religious and spiritual. We can pull this off, you guys. If you become convinced, it only takes one person who has the right connections to be convinced that this is a proof that not even AI can undermine, even as it becomes infinitely intelligent, because it's eternal. Then please apply your genius to this. And I was going to make it so that if people lost, they would donate to this fund, and we'd build a GoFundMe. And for each refutation that happens, that they can't undermine it, they'll put the money into the GoFundMe, and then whoever eventually undermines the proof will get the fund. But that might be a lottery. We're not allowed to run lotteries unless you know somebody who runs a charity or a registered nonprofit where they have a license to run one of these. These lotteries are so powerful. They make up for like 3 or something percent, 3 to 10%, something crazy of the entire US economy and the Canadian economy. It's so powerful. That's why they regulate it. So if we do get this off the ground, and we have people all over the world trying to refute this, and they can't, then it'll raise a lot of awareness very, very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. And it is an eternal proof. I've proven it, but you got to learn it for yourself. We teach anti-cult training. This is anti-cult training, this proof. It teaches you to think for yourself. Be introspective. Be critical in the right way. Use negation. We don't want you to believe this just because we're telling you. But if you need hope, look into it. It's there for you, okay? All right, this is a 17-minute recording. There's more to say, but please take up the challenge. And I will say blessings and prayers for all of us as we head into these next 2 months. And I'll be holding on to the goodness that is within all of us, the true spirit, the true wisdom. Okay, with that, stay blessed and keep sublating.